Like the thing about a scarcity mindset is the results are predictable. You know it's not going to work if you hang out there for long enough. You need to start telling yourself the supportive story. You're narrating your life. The question is, what version of you is narrating your life?
Hello, and thank you for joining us today on the Gentle Art of Crushing It show, where we focus on learning and sharing with our listeners all there is to know about how to create success in our lives. This show stands on the shoulders of giants. Our mission is to empower and inspire our listeners to create the life of their dreams whilst having a blast in the process. Let's celebrate life together. Welcome to the show.
Thank you all for joining us again on another episode of the Success Mindset, Gentle Art of Crushing It edition. Today we have joining us my performance coach, Brodie Whitney, and he's a whole lot more than just a performance coach. So I'm really excited to jump into this. Please just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, where and how you found success as you define it. And, please include something interesting, about yourself most people wouldn't know.
Well, I think the question about how do I define success, I think that's one of the most important questions of my life so far. And I'm glad you're asking it. To me, I was born successful. Basically, the chances of us inhabiting a body and being alive right now is, so I heard like 400 trillion to one or something. So I'm winning the game, and I like to tell myself that it's working. It's a good reminder sometimes, and it's always true. Um, I've been a professional performance coach for over 15 years. I've worn all the hats from relationship to business to personal, spiritual, whatever you want, fitness. I've experimented and worked with all of those approaches to this incredible vehicle of transformation and leadership called coaching, right? And so it's that tool that I discovered that helped me create the difference that I was seeking to make and become the kind of leader and I don't know, call it world changer, even though it's all one-to-one and in these small groups. I feel like we're changing the world here. Something interesting about me, I'm a kind of outside the box person in many ways. I'm a Gemini, which means I'm supposed to have two personalities, but I have multiple personalities. And
Same here, by the
very,
way, and that's exactly how I
yeah,
feel. Way more than two, right? You could probably
oh,
like times that
absolutely.
by 1,000, and then we're getting close.
Exactly. Yeah, I even say sometimes infinite, like we can keep going and discover these different versions of ourselves, and we can use them intentionally. We've done some of that work with archetypes and frames and all that. So, yeah, I also love nature. I'm a big believer in my experience. Nature is the one thing that's caught me at some of the more difficult times in my life and kind of revived me and brought me back to life and helped me go out and go to that next level. So I love nature, I love trees, and I love people.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I love all that, Brody. And I'm right there with you. Really, if I'm in an intense, stressful state, going outside and getting into nature and deep breaths, it will cure it like
100%.
100% of the time. Add some
Yeah,
exercise, and you're golden, right? So,
absolutely. Yeah.
uh, and I love people too. Part of the reason why I do this, so and it's super obvious and clear to me that you love people, man. It just you shine,
People
and
are
so.
fascinating. I mean, we all got to start with ourselves. It's the sort of primary relationship we have. And there's this whole internal relationship we have with our small self and infinite self, however you want to look at it, our soul and our ego. To me, that's our first relationship. And I have genuinely, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, come into this place where I'm experiencing more self love than I've ever experienced. And my gosh, is it relieving because a lot of my life I've been quite critical towards myself and always trying to find that sense of being enough. And I think I'm in a new stage of my life around that, and it feels great.
Yeah, no, I love
Yeah.
that. And I think it's so important. And you touched on, the relationship with ourself. So I got a couple questions for you. One, how, as far as a priority, where would you rate, your relationship with yourself? And secondly, my other question, or this is more of a statement, is this has started opening up for me around last year also, this whole like self-love.
Hmm.
And what is it that I want to do? So it's one of the questions that you asked me, which is like, what does your intuition tell you? So that is my second question.
Yeah.
One, how high would you rate priority wise, relationship with yourself? And then second, how high would you rate, trusting our own intuition?
It depends what you're looking at it through, like what you're wanting to accomplish in a sense, of where it lands in priority wise. Um, I think if you're looking at happiness, fulfillment, um, call it success, like achievement, performance, your relationship with yourself is maybe the first place to start. Like if I'm going to do one thing in a day, you know how people talk about and do rituals and they have habits they work on and performance strategies, all the same thing. If there's one I needed to choose from, it's meditation. And that's the first thing I do each day. It's where, in terms of my relationship with myself, what is actually happening for me and a lot of people is we're experiencing that there's this ego self. So there's the constant chatter. You're in your thoughts. You think it's you thinking. You think it's who you are. You believe the things that aren't true about you, that you're not enough and you can't do that. And you get stuck in worry and all that stuff. So that's, there's good parts to the ego too. It's not all difficult, but it's a very limited self. It's our thinking, right? While meanwhile, we have these other layers to ourselves. One of them, to me, I don't know how to define it. It's conscious awareness. It's the witness. It's this maybe a soul self that's witnessing and able to watch and even, like we talked about self-love, guide and parent the little boy within who's scared or, you know, and
Or
make
has
conscious.
hangups from childhood. I mean, there's a lot of
Yep,
like, I'm right there with you, like nurturing of this inner child.
absolutely. Yeah. A lot of men, especially, um, have have decided or thought it was a smart thing to, get rid of their little boy. And with that, we lose play, innocence, curiosity a lot of the time. And one of the hats I've worn has been a men's coach for many years. I worked with hundreds of men. And what I've seen every single time is when we bring that little boy back, or if you're a woman, bringing that little girl back into your life, it opens up a whole new part of you and a whole new self that can be really fun and help you discover new things.
It
And
is necessary.
yeah, and is there anyway? The question is, have you locked the door and shut them out? And how are they doing?
Yeah, did you
Oh,
lock them in a dark closet, right? It's
yeah,
like
pretend they're not there.
that's exactly what I did. Yeah, just
Great
stop.
parenting strategy.
It's not how you treat children, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So in terms of relationship with self, I think, it's often most important, even in an intimate relationship. Um, my wife and I, we created what we call the 8 S's of lasting love, these 8 essentials. And the first one is self. It's because any relationship is two people and who you bring to the relationship matters. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Somebody sort of once explained to me that if you're out there looking for a relationship and you have your cup half full and you're looking for the other person to fill your cup, you're going about it the wrong way. You need to come with your full cup
Mhm.
and be looking to fill somebody else who has a full cup, right? And so bring
Totally.
a 150% even. So, yeah, that's
Absolutely.
I love it.
And then
Um,
you asked about intuition as well. So what's your question about intuition?
yeah, so I guess like Um, I think intuition is almost like another thing that a lot of people will sort of put in the closet, right? And stop listening to. How important would you say it is to check in at least like daily ask yourself, the question, what is my intuition telling me now?
I think it's again one of the most important things. It's again tapping into a deeper part of you that's more aware than just thinking, right? Because if you're making your decisions through thinking alone, a lot of people are trying to figure it out. They're trying to figure out their purpose, and it's not a logical thing. It's a connection that you have. It's an intuitive sense of your path, and you have to navigate that. You get to navigate that. But if you're trying to navigate it with your thinking alone, you're using a mechanism that you probably think is wired for happiness. You probably think, if you eventually figure it out and think your way through it, you're going to get to happiness. But thinking is not designed for happiness. It's designed for survival. So what does survival mechanisms do? What do? They give us all the warning signs, all the fear, of the worry, the concern, the caution flags, the red. And so, that's how a lot of people are living in fear. And intuition is, I call it inner guidance. So there's this, we can tune into a deeper awareness in our body, even if we can't connect to it, with our thoughts or our awareness. Our body will give us yes or no answers if we give it the chance to do that and take the time to listen. A lot of the time, it's a gut feeling. I've worked with hundreds of people and helped them tap into their inner guidance, their intuition. It's a very powerful way to be able to make decisions with ease, without regret, and just total certainty, and alignment with your purpose. So I think it's really important, and it's really fun. It's a much better way than I used to use when I was trying to think my way through my life. It was not very fun.
Yeah, no, and
Yeah.
I hear you, and I've been there also, and it sounds like a much better tool than a pro con list, right? So it's
Oh
like,
my gosh. Yeah, we've all done that. You
yeah,
get to the end of it. Yeah, but I
and
don't
you'll
want to
lean it
do
like
that.
it kind of depends. Like sometimes maybe the intuition might be playing a role with the amount of pros versus cons that you write down, right? Maybe that you could use that tool, but still,
Could be.
yeah, I really love
I
that.
don't know. Thinking gets in the way a lot of the time. And oftentimes, as I'm working with people to create alignment and align with their purpose and know what to do next, um, then it's often a combination of scary and exciting that people end up landing on. That if you're thinking about doing it, you're just going to talk yourself out of it. But if you know, like this deep sense of knowing and alignment that this is the path, you're going to do it, no matter how scary it is.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, so with that being said, Brody, thank you so much. Please, on to the next question. Share with us one of, your most favorite successes that you either solely created or were a part of.
I'm going to say, where I'm at now. I've been listening to Dan Sullivan's The Gap in the Gain. Great book. Such a good book. Such a great approach on getting present and appreciating what you have and supporting yourself. Yeah, I'm going to say right now, there's this, that quote, if at first you don't succeed, try again. I was thinking about this the other day. It's like, it should be, if at first you don't succeed, try, and try again, like 7 times. And then if it doesn't work on the seventh, try something else.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
pivot and then continue trying, but don't quit.
Yeah. I've got I would say, a very successful startup business that I'm working on, and I partnered with quite an amazing person who's been very financially successful and also successful in finding and aligning in his purpose, which is what brought us together. I have a great reputation in the coaching industry, and I really value that because I'm able to work with amazing people. And I have some pretty major stresses in my life, like a lot of us do. It's been tough. I'd say the last 6 years for me, going through a divorce, meeting my soulmate, having her be in the States, myself be in Canada, and the pandemic hits and the border shuts down, and then, raising a mixed family with young kids and her ex and all that stuff. it's life, right? So, and at the same time, there's no buts. And at the same time, I have quite an amazing life where I get to do what I want to do. Everything, yeah, just really feeling blessed. And
Yeah, and like you said earlier, you were born winning, right? And I was thinking about that the other day, like how, often I complain and like there's no reason to. We were born winning just to be
yeah,
able to make it in the egg, right? So, and
exactly.
it, I
That's
mean, it's
We've won
unreal.
the ultimate race.
We have we
Here we
now
are.
now all we got to do is figure out how to enjoy it and like yeah, enjoy it.
Totally. Yeah, a lot that those key words I'd say figure out. I've been noticing a lot. People struggling to figure this stuff out, how
Yeah,
to
you brought it
enjoy
up in a
life.
in a call we had a little a little while back.
Yeah,
I'm
so what are we
becoming more
doing?
aware of it, right? But yeah,
Yeah, and I do it too. We're in our head trying to figure it out. Um, but how do we enjoy life? Where does happiness start? Happiness starts now, right? And like you're not going to achieve enough to create lasting happiness. You've got to decide to be happy and tune into that frequency of happiness and choose it, and it will follow you.
yeah, sort of like having the inner child that we put away in closet. We can take the inner child out and nurture it. We need to do the same thing with happiness as opposed to continuing to put it off. Once I hit this goal, then I'll be happy. When we could be happy now. We're at that point. Once we hit that goal, we're still going to have to learn how to be happy. We still have that challenge there waiting for us, right?
Yeah, I don't spend too much time thinking about happiness. To me, it comes and goes. What I'm looking for is fulfillment, and I could be very unhappy, but at the same time very fulfilled, knowing that this is part of the journey and this is life. And thank you. And what am I learning, and what could be the gifts that are coming through, and how am I growing versus why is this happening to me? Like the questions we ask, what we focus on, lends itself to, I don't know, like happiness is kind of surface to me, but a deeper sense of fulfillment.
Yeah, no, I I,
Yeah,
uh, I totally agree on that too because you can be if you're engaged in something that's fulfilling, even when it's complete. Like let's say it's a soccer game, for example, and you lose, your team lost, you're still going to be fulfilled afterwards, right? Or
yeah, you can be
if
for sure.
yeah, if I sat down and was unhappy and wrote a song, when that song's complete, I am going to be fulfilled 100%.
Nice.
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you touched on it.
I just look for, honestly, I'm a lazy person. I look for the easiest ways to these things. And I recognize that a lot of people are working with really complex misunderstandings of how to create fulfillment, success, find your purpose. I just really struggled with this stuff so much that I got obsessed with it and wanted to make it as simple as possible, and had the opportunity to work with people one to one over 15 years, right? And find what works and explain these things over and over to the point where it's like they're not easy, but they're simple. And when they're simple, they become a lot easier.
Yeah, and a lot more attainable too. Like if it's super complex and there's 100 steps, right, versus five, which
Exactly.
I prefer the 5 step.
Yeah, or
Um,
one.
yeah, one's even better,
Yeah.
right? Um, yeah, and so you mentioned your startup. Why I think right now is a great time because what I don't want to do is like skim over it and then completely forget, right? So, if you can, please share with the audience, if you're ready to,
Yeah.
what that's all about, what you're offering, what is the vision there, and I'm for one, I'm excited to hear more about it. So.
Cool. Thanks for asking, and thanks for creating a space for me to share it. So it's MVP, Money, Vision, Purpose. Um, and it's what we're doing. My partner Mario and I, and both my wife and his girlfriend, we're all working together to create this. It's really cool. Um, Working together and having a team around a mission. And what we're doing is we're helping people create financial freedom to really tap into their vision for themselves and their life and into the future, where they want to go, what they want to create. and to find their purpose, what's meaningful for them, or a sense of being on purpose in their life. And so that's what we're creating. We partnered up. It was purpose that brought us together for sure. But Mario, he went 4 years ago and he took himself from 80K per year to 8 million a year net in 1 year, and has since started over 10 companies. And what I noticed about him when I met him, he was working, he said on his worst months, 15 hours a month, right?
I mean,
So
how much more inspiring can it get? No, I love it.
exactly. He's always the guy who was always at the pool, always lots of time, out late, up early in the gym. And that was cool enough for me. But then we were in the gym one morning and we got talking about purpose, and he talked about how he hit this depression where he realized he could buy anything and nothing he bought would make him any happier. And he thought he hit a low point, and that's where he thought, I need purpose. And so that brought us together, because to me, that's the most important thing, is being connected to your purpose, or aligned in your purpose, who you're really here to be, what you're here to be doing. And so we started getting together the last 6 months. We've been building this, and we launched a 2-day live event online in May. So we're really excited.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's right around the corner. Where can people go if they want to sign up for the webinar event, live event?
So super simple, moneyvisionpurpose.com. Um, Pretty much on any social media platform. We're mainly focused on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Just go use the handle at moneyvisionpurpose, and you'll see us there. Follow our profile there, our account, and you'll get information. But MVP Money Vision Purpose, we're offering free guest passes right now for the event, and that's May 1st to 2nd, Monday and Tuesday, 2 to 5 p.m. Pacific, or 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern. And that'll be a live mastermind, 2 3-hour sessions with Mario and I. He's going to teach you how he went from 80K to 8 million in a year. We're essentially creating a curriculum, or have a curriculum built around that we're going to be guiding people through and introducing them, showing you guys how he did this. And I'll be walking you through, not just talking about finding your purpose, but guiding you through the process of really connecting to and aligning with your purpose right now, and plugging that into whatever you're going to do next. I mean, who knows? It may be a time right now to break the mold and get back to what you really love to be doing. It may be an opportunity right now to take it to the next level and expand your sense of you as a leader, you and your full potential, you, that little boy or little girl coming out to create, or stepping into your king or queen and connecting with the mission. There's all kinds of ways to look at purpose, but that's what we'll be doing.
I love it. Yeah, it's super exciting, and I definitely will be there, Brody. And so,
Awesome.
yeah, I'm super looking forward to it. And let me ask this: what would you say is, one of the most valuable lessons that you learned from, creating this partnership, setting up this business, and now launching?
Well, one important thing, if you're looking to partner in a business, don't go find someone who's just like you. You don't need another you. You've got that covered. So Mario and I really complement each other because we're quite different people, but we're able to get along great and create great content. It's a great synergy. I also, if you're looking to partner in business, we're still getting to know each other. I've flown down to Houston and spent a few times with him. I've flown down to Houston and spent a few days with him a couple times. Plus, we've spent other time together as well, getting to know each other, and that's really important. It's a big commitment to partner in business with someone, and humility, I would say, is really important. Being open, and for me, I kind of call it service. So it's not about me, it's about who's going to benefit from this content, and can we work together in a synergistic way to create literally life-changing content that's going to be high value, high impact, and easy to learn. So, yeah,
I love it. Humility. It's a big, big
humility
deal.
for sure.
It's not an easy, cookie to swallow or whatever, but it's so valuable, so important.
And sometimes humility, as you're putting yourself out there, because it's largely a personal brand for both of us. Sometimes humility leads you to really stepping into your truth of what you're actually capable of and who you really are and what your gift is. Because often ego gets in the way of humility. So we can get past ego, then we can embrace who we really fucking are. Excuse my language, but it's
Yeah,
pretty incredible when you tap into who you really are. That's one of the reasons why I love people so much, is I get to discover people all day long, 5 days a week, like finding out all these amazing aspects of these people. And it's amazing what we're all capable of.
that's so true, and it's exactly like what I was going to say. Is humility? You're talking about you stripping yourself of ego, right? So then this is your
Mhm.
true potential, right? And so
Absolutely.
it's
Stripping is a
kind,
great word because sometimes you do feel pretty raw and naked,
yeah,
and it's not always comfortable.
and it could be hard. And one of the challenging things for me is my ego will try to step in and go, "Hey, forget this. I'm out of here." And when we don't do that and we just stay, committed to our coach, whether it's in, learning to play an instrument, jujitsu,
Yeah,
playing whatever, um, if you're humbling yourself, you will learn. You'll continue to grow. And but it's
absolutely.
definitely challenging. Yeah.
Yeah. Learning is growth.
Amen.
Yep.
I love it.
And jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu is a great way to learn really quick.
Yeah. And it is also a great one of the best places to really become aware of your ego and how it
Oh yeah,
negatively
it'll teach
affects
you
you.
humility.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yeah, and so it's awesome, and the more you come in and the more you apply humility, the more you will benefit from jujitsu. It's just such an interesting
Yeah,
thing. So
absolutely.
I love it. Let me ask you this. Would you mind telling us about some of the, incredibly difficult things that you've been through, maybe one, and what you learned from it, or multiple?
Really kind of going through the journey of being human and becoming a man and dealing with this thing called a brain. It's been hard. One of the reasons why I have been called to and have chosen to focus on helping people align with their purpose is because it was so incredibly hard for me as a young adult to find my purpose. I really had a difficult time. It got pretty dark for me. And thankfully, I was guided through this difficult process and started getting answers. And that was 25 years ago. And I've continued to be curious about purpose. And I'd say, honestly, it's for me first because I want to be living in my purpose. And that's a moment to moment navigation sometimes. And so it's become for me kind of second nature to be able to do that. And I know how hard it was. So being able to give back something that was so incredibly challenging for me, like drove me crazy, lost my mind sort of darkness, and able to come back and be able to share and help people with that is really fulfilling. And I take on challenges in my life. Some points in my life, there's seasons, right? Sometimes life gives me enough challenges to deal with.
You're
And
like, I'm
then,
not taking on any more right now, but maybe a
yeah,
couple months down the road.
like I'll put cold showers on hold for, a couple months, few months, and then I'll pick them back up again. Um, yeah. And those things, sometimes they just happen and we lean into them. Other times we need to create them to expand our comfort zone and keep growing when we get comfortable.
Yeah, I think it's so true and so
Mhm.
important. And our, history is kind of similar where I really went off the deep end about age 18-ish, and then 28 started to reel it back in, right? And so I'd say definitely for me, mental, unwell-being, right? If that's a word, or I don't really want to say mental illness, but that's actually exactly what it was. Okay, for me, and coming out of that and starting to realize all of these, I mean, just beautiful lessons that life teaches us. One
Mhm.
is extreme responsibility and how valuable that is, but also so difficult, right? And so, but I think that my point is that going through something like that will actually teach you how again, valuable life is, and how important it is. And I think also through that, I became just like a constant you know introspector, if that's a word, right? Is really,
Okay.
really, I'm
Yeah.
similar to you, where it's really important what I'm doing. I don't want to be making major mistakes, and I want to leave a legacy, but I also want to make sure those relationships, the people that I love, know that I love them, and that I treat them at the very, very best level. And sometimes that's like,
Beautiful.
sometimes it's tough love, right? But because
Yeah.
dealing with
Yeah.
kids and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Parenting is another one. It's incredibly hard. I do the
Yeah,
best job I can.
super challenging, but super rewarding, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very deeply fulfilling to be able to be a parent. To me, wouldn't have wanted to go through this life without raising kids.
No, and that's another teacher for me. Like I didn't actually value life that much until I had my first kid. Then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, I need to use my seatbelt and, like,
Yeah.
take life
For
seriously.
sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Definitely.
Well, let me shift gears a little bit and ask you, a super fun question, which is,
Okay.
if you were to be sent back in time, Brodie, to age 18, how would you fast track your success, as you define it?
Well, I used to, for many years as an adult, I used to think if I got to go back to an age, it would be to 18 because that was quite a grounded, powerful, transformative year for me. I kind of came into myself at 18 and kind of an awakening experience. Um, what would I do differently? I think, one thing I look back to is my baseball career as a teenager. And I always had this dream that I would become a professional ball player. But it never clicked for me that I would need to do extra reps. It seems so simple now, so clear. But as a teenager, and I never had someone show up and say, "You could make it. I think you could make it." It was just this dream in my head. And I might have been able to make it if I had have done the reps. And that I felt a lot of regret around that, you know, um, for a while, probably in my 30s, looking back and going, once I learned like that, you can do repetitions and you can get better at this stuff and you can focus and you can focus your mindset and you can visualize it, like all this stuff, high performance strategies. Like to me, that's what I would apply is these high performance strategies in my life. One of the first things, most important lessons that I learned as a young adult that I didn't know when I was 18 was that our greatest challenges are also our greatest gifts in disguise. And that floored me when I discovered it because I always felt like I needed to avoid discomfort and I didn't want it to be hard. And now when something hard happens, I am able to, uh, quicker than ever, sometimes immediately in the moment, but not always, embrace it and ask, what's the growth in this for me? What's the gift that's on its way? So I would say that at 18, I wanted life to be easy, and it's not easy sometimes.
Especially if you've got big dreams, right? And yeah, It's such an
Yeah.
interesting thing that you brought up. Hey, just more reps, right? And
Mhm.
for me, that would have paid. I actually was aware of that. I think the big lesson for me would be, hey, consistency, stick with it. Whatever it is that your dream is, back then for me it was to become a professional skateboarder, right? Stick with it. And
Yeah.
there's a saying that Tony Robbins says where it's something like, we overestimate what we can do in 1 year, but underestimate what we can do in 5 to 10, which is
Hmm.
what that a career like that would take is like at least 5 years, right? Approximately, pro baseball player, pro skater, right?
Yeah.
Minimum.
Yeah.
Hard work, visualization, a lot of reps, and believing in yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would have taken a very different approach instead of just showing up for practice and doing what I was supposed to do.
Right. But what's great about kind of having that realization now is like, hey, we know how that we can have fun. We can go out there and hit a ball or go to skateboard, or there's a million ways for us to go, experience life and joy and like exhilaration, right? And just
Absolutely.
have fun.
Yeah. And I love physical fitness. Like I love having a strong body and being able to run long distances or short distances fast and yeah, and looking good, like feeling good in my body, having energy. Um, but in terms of like doing the reps, for me, that's with regard to being an entrepreneur and having a mission, not just a business, and also having a family and raising kids and showing up and having a wife and showing up and serving her and being a professional coach. And I'd like to become a professional writer and just there's so many things. Those are the sort of things that I'm applying this to now. Um, and then things like Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, where I don't want to become a pro. I just I just go because it helps center and ground me. I learn protection skills for myself and my family, and develop my brain and my body in this whole other way that's way outside the box and quite incredible.
It really is. Yeah, I love it, man. And I was just gonna say, I always tell people, look, like, get started. You need to do jujitsu. You need to try it because it is life changing for the better. Like literally life changing. It does it
Yeah,
something. It's very unique. So you're not gonna get that from some other martial arts. You won't get the same feeling. Trust me, right? And so we're other stuff, right? So
I don't know. I haven't done a lot. I've done qigong, which I really enjoyed. And I did some karate when I was a kid, which was pretty brutal. I didn't think it was taught very well. But when you find a good teacher with jujitsu, I don't know about the other ones, but it's pretty cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
Let me ask you this. What are your thoughts on going from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset?
What are my thoughts? What are the thoughts that make the difference?
Yes.
Well, the scarcity mindset, I mean, basically the hardest thing in all of this stuff that we're talking about is to remember to do it. Because most of the time we're just caught in our thinking, going through our life in a scarcity mindset, maybe a victim mindset, um, and maybe a worrier mindset, right? And the only difference is is what we focus on. And the hardest part is remembering to catch ourselves in the pattern of scarcity. And then if we want to really transform it, then if we notice it and we judge it and we try to get rid of it, it doesn't go away. It's like meditation. If you're trying to not think, what are you going to be doing all the time?
Just
Right?
thinking. Yeah.
Just thinking. And you're going to think, I don't know how to meditate. I hate to meditate. This sucks.
I suck at this. I'm a horrible person. Downward
Yeah.
spiral.
Yeah. I can't meditate. It's a belief for most people. And then, so number one, catching yourself in whatever pattern you're in. And instead of judging it or labeling it as right or wrong, You just notice it. Notice, like, this is the conscious awareness. This is you becoming the witness to your thinking. This is where we access who we really are on a deeper level. You're not your thoughts, because as a witness to your thoughts, the thoughts keep going, and here you are watching them. Which one are you? You're the witness. So that's the first part. And then noticing it allows it to move. If you can notice it without judging it or trying to resist it or being in reaction to it, then it will, on its own, it will move. I believe one reason all that stuff's happening is to help us in the awakening process, to help us wake up again to who we really are. And then once you have done that, then you have choice, and you can ask yourself, what do I want? What do I want to feel? What do I want to experience? What do I want to focus on? And I use, in terms of scarcity, which is thoughts like, it's not working, I'm going to lose all my money, this is not going to work, I'm going to fail, people are going to make fun of me, I'm going to be rejected. We could go on and on and on. I'm going to die.
Yeah.
I'm going to go bankrupt. This is like, you can do little things, and I do these things too. This is, it's sometimes it's a simple reminder where you're actually consciously reminding yourself or telling yourself it's working. Like, say it out loud right now. It's working.
Yeah, I want to, step in here because you taught me that to say it's working, and I'm doing it now, and I have been for a while, and it literally, it is way more powerful. So anybody listening, it is very simple, but is very powerful, and you start to go, wait a second, it is working, and you can also, like, I can. Now that I've been doing it for a while, I can take a look back, and it's almost like you're planting a seed, right? But you can take a look back and go, okay, yeah, it is working. Remember, we're saying that, right? It's working. But honestly, it is for most of us
It
what we're
is.
working on doing. It is working. We are just not giving ourselves credit for it. We're not being aware of it. We're not, taking note of that, right? And so that is like a huge one for me.
Me too. And again, very simple. Um, but even if we're in a scarcity mindset, like, the thing about a scarcity mindset is the results are predictable. It's not going to work if you hang out there for long enough. But what is working all that time? You're waking up. Eventually, you're going to tune in to the fact that you need to tell yourself and focus on the fact that it's working. You need to start telling yourself the supportive story. You're narrating your life. The question is, what version of you is narrating your life? That will give you can predict where it's going to go based on that. And what's the version of you that you trust most to create what you really want?
This is a super, super huge gold nuggets right here, Brody. And at the Jason G's live event that we were at, just like last earlier this month, right? I've
Yeah,
already lost track of time.
a few
Um,
weeks ago. Yep.
yeah. So you said something, and I remembered it, and it's huge. Something like, "Hey, nobody wants to know the end of the movie right before we watch it, or right in the middle of
Yeah.
it. So why are we trying to know exactly the outcome of our lives, right? But you said something to go right along with that, which is like we're narrating our own lives. Our self-talk is creating our life, right? Creating the movie of our life, if you will, right?
hmm hmm
And so those just go right along with each other. But yeah, I loved that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you're finding it valuable. I always want to add as much value as possible. The stuff, it works. I use it all the time. It seems to resonate with people I get to work with, yourself included. Like, I'm just looking for what works. And honestly, also, I'm looking for the truth. So I want to find, I don't want to kid myself with, like, these made up ideas of it being that it's working. I just want to find what's the truth. And so, how do I tell the truth? Or how do I recognize the truth? Well, if what you're focused on is creating tension and stress and contraction in your body and in your thinking, it's not true. And a simple way to say it, it's not true for you. If it were true, you'd be feeling good. You'd be relaxed. Even if you were doing something that was difficult to scary, if you felt like this is my truth, that's going a little deeper into it. But when we find our truth, what's true for us, then our body will relax. We'll expand. We'll feel lighter. We'll feel expansion, freedom in our body and in our thinking. So, and when I tell myself it's working, that's what happens. I relax. I get back in flow again.
I was gonna say, I think even if it's scary, if it's something that you love to do, the excitement of it, is going to pull you through that fear. Because we're all aware, like adults, like fear is there, and we have to act in spite of it. Sometimes we shouldn't, right? Because it's going to cause physical harm or whatever. But a lot of times we have to, right? It's always going to be there. We've got to. That's courage, right? Is acting in spite of fear, knowing it's there, and just moving forwards anyways.
Yeah, like you and your ramp, right? It's not like you look out at your skateboard ramp and go, that'd be a great, easy approach to life and my day, and I'm definitely, the safest thing I could do to take care of myself. No, you're like, that looks scary, and I feel like, it's my truth to be out there on that ramp.
Yeah, no, exactly. The fears are there, and I know I can get hurt a bunch of different ways, but like most of these are not realistic fears. Most of these are
Yeah,
overblown, and they're not, proportionate to the risk, right? So,
for sure.
yeah, that's awesome. I love it. Let me ask you this, if there was a key that, unlocked or helped unlock success in your life, what would you say that is?
Uh, a key that would help you unlock success. So I'm just finishing up my book on this topic, and I became obsessed with this topic. And I won't go into why right now, but essentially what I discovered were these different forms of success. So when we're talking about what success is, we're taught in our society what success is, and it's usually about achievement, money, fame, or stature of some kind. And but what success actually is it's a personal thing. Success, it's in my opinion, the main key would be to question success and what it is for you. Get curious about it. And I'll share one of the forms of success that was most freeing for me is unconditional success. So I was driving home one day, short drive from town to home, sitting in my car, and I was in the middle of this, this journey, writing this book, and I thought, I've worked all my life. I've always done my best, and I'm still not successful. I was like, come on. Something's not right here. I said, fuck it. I'm going to decide right now. Let's see what happens. I'm going to decide right now that I'm successful. And I sat back in my seat, drove home, and I swear I felt more successful than any other time in my entire life. What did I do? What did I achieve? Nothing. I just decided. So I've continued to use that. It's become a huge, key to experiencing what it is to be successful for me.
Yeah, I love that because whether you're going to be successful when you create $1 million a day, and that's when you decide you're going to be successful, or if you decide you're going to be successful now, there's still the decision there, right?
Totally. Yeah.
I love that.
Still arriving. And a lot of people don't want to arrive. Not a lot of people, but there are
A lot of people have
quite a few.
resistance to it, right?
They do. They feel like they're going to lose their edge. They're going to lose their drive. But the truth is, and found this over and over with these subset of high performers, is they actually, once they arrive, they have more energy, more motivation, more drive than ever. Because now they have fulfillment. Now you can really create. It's the difference between being in survival mode, always chasing a moving horizon, and you're never quite there. How long can you do that for? Like, yeah, versus running on a full tank. knowing where you're going.
Feeling naturally inspired.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I love it. All right. Well, Brodie, we are, as we're coming to the close of this, I got just a couple more questions for you. I'm curious. You did mention the book, The Gap and the Gain, which I have not read yet. I did read Who Not How, and I
It's a great
absolutely,
one too.
yeah, just love, and I looked into Dan Sullivan a little bit, and what's the author's name?
Benjamin Hardy.
Yes, Benjamin Hardy.
Yeah,
Thank you. He's awesome, and so I'm looking forward to that book for sure. The Gap and the Gain. But would you mind sharing with us one awesome book recommendation and one tech recommendation?
sure. Yeah, book recommendation. This is the book that I've given away more than any other book. I read it multiple times. I will continue to read it for the rest of my life. I always learn more. It's one of the best stories or parables on the journey of life. It's The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Game changing book. Really good book at for someone who's young person coming of age or someone at a transition in their life trying to find what are they going to do next? What do they want to create in their life? What's their vision? What's their purpose? How to navigate this crazy journey called life. This is a great one. And then tech. In what regard?
Yeah, any sort of app that you use, or anything like that.
I mean, we're having fun with TikTok.
Okay, there you go.
We're having a great time with TikTok. It's a really cool platform. You can share your message in a really powerful way. And yeah, it's fairly new to me, and it's fun to have a team sort of putting a message out there on TikTok.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, that's
yeah.
super awesome. And yeah, and I just wanted to say that The Alchemist is like a super mind-blowingly amazing book, and I've read it twice, but it's been probably 4 years since last time, so I definitely need to
Yeah.
like go. It's probably I have a couple of books, Think and Grow Rich and then Rich Dad Poor Dad, that I try to read every year. That's the
Oh
goal,
wow,
anyways. Yeah,
cool.
for some reason I haven't done it. Like I don't think I did it last year, right? So, but I think The Alchemist should be added to that also. They're not like forever long books, right? How long would you say that book is? I mean, I think the audio version is like 4 or 5, maybe 6 hours. It's not
Regular.
crazy long.
What is it? Like 182 pages?
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's just a great story too. So
it is. Yeah, absolutely.
now, and let me ask you this: how can our audience support you? Is there a particular type of deal that you're looking for they can send your way, or would you send them to your Facebook or Money Vision Purpose? Where can they learn more about you, and how was the best way for them to connect with you?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook. We've got a Facebook group for Money Vision Purpose. You can look for that and join us. And I'm just looking to help people, like I said. Well, not like I said, but my focus is, and I feel like if I can help people find their purpose, then that's the biggest difference, biggest way I can make an impact. And so if someone's looking for more in terms of alignment with their purpose or a greater sense of themselves as a leader or in their relationship or in their business, I offer one-to-one coaching. I do group coaching. And we've got this virtual live mastermind coming up May 1st to 2nd. You can join us for free at moneyvisionpurpose.com. And we're here to support you to create financial freedom, have a vision, and find your purpose. So that'll be awesome to join there and connect and let me know how I can serve you. I like experiences, so that's what I'm going for. Experiences with cool people. If you're gonna like without you and with you, it's just better when you show up. So if you want to come and join the party, it'd be awesome to have you there.
Yeah, I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much again, Brodie, for joining us today on the Gentle Art of Crushing It. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the audience before we wrap it up?
Yeah, here's something to think about. I like the power of questions, and I like to get curious. And because a lot of people are trying to, trying to protect themselves and pretending that they know everything already. And when we do that, we stop learning. And then we miss out on all the incredible things that are available that we didn't even know were there. Right? So I'd like to get curious about what it means to crush it. And what is it for you? For me, having given no thought to this, crushing it is about, in a sense, crushing the focus, the negative thoughts, the focus on it not working, the small vision that we have for ourselves and what we can do and what we can't do. Crushing that and standing on it and using it to lift us up in our life and really the it that we're here to create, the it that we really want, and the version of us that we're here to become.
Yeah. I love it.
So what's it for you?
I love it. Well, and I'll just throw my 2 cents in there. And so, crushing it for me, that what I'm trying to crush is my fears that will a lot of times manifest themselves in different ways, such as like ego, right? Giving me reasons to not go for the goals that, are truly inspiring to myself, right? So that again, brings me back to what is my intuition telling me now, and what excites me and what inspires me. And so I love that so much, and I feel like I should start to adding that, to the end of every single one of these shows. So audience, what does crushing it mean for you? And thank you, Brodie.
Absolutely. Thank you, Doug, for putting this together and creating the space for awesomeness.
Yeah, you're totally welcome. Thanks for joining. Can't wait to hang out with you again in person, and can't wait for our next episode of The Gentle Art of Crushing It. With that being said, this will be the end of it. So I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, and thank you for listening.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode of The Gentle Art of Crushing It. It was an amazing episode. We know we sure learned a lot, and we hope you did as well. We want to take a second and thank you so much for viewing or listening to this episode. And please just know that we only ask for one favor, and that is to make this life magnificent. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.